What's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Scares. That's right, we're back on our daily journey through the nightmares with the fifth film in the Hellraiser saga called Hellraiser Inferno. Hellraiser Inferno chronicles one police detective struggles as he attempts to find an elusive serial killer that goes by the name The Engineer. And after opening a mysterious puzzle box, the detective also begins to hallucinate demonic creatures that follow him around. And that's when things truly begin to get confusing. We've made it past the hump. We are halfway done in October, which incidentally means that we're also halfway done with the Hellraiser films as well, since there's 10 of those. And what can I say about this one overall? Well, I can say that it was incredibly profound. I'm not even kidding. It's easily the most profound Hellraiser film so far, and I might even say the most profound film that I've seen all month during this Interpreting the Scares event. And that was something that I definitely was not expecting. It was written and directed by Scott Derrickson, who also wrote and directed the first Doctor Strange film, and this was his first feature film directorial debut, and as such, it is such a crazy good first venture. Now, it originated as a non-Hellraiser film, which from my understanding is how a lot of these later Hellraiser films operated. And if any of them act like this movie, I'm all for it. It's even difficult to tell you how this film is profound because I'll just end up spoiling you. Instead, I can be as elusive as the film itself and say that it begins like a procedural cop drama or mystery, almost noir-like in nature, complete with narration from an overdramatic detective. And as soon as I saw that, I was grinding my teeth a little bit in cringe, but when it started to dive a little bit more into the Hellraiser scene, that's when it immediately gathered my interest, because this movie in its entirety is surrounded by mystery. A lot of the time, as an audience member, you're just kind of confused because he'll be a detective tracking down a serial killer, and every now and then it gets a little bit trippy and Pinhead and the Cenobytes show up, and based off how previous Hellraiser films have operated, they're usually only found in their own world, and they only come into our world each time the box is opened, but they seem to be going back and forth almost without the box. Now, the box was at the beginning of this film, and the detective opens it, but he escapes it and heads back into the real world. Now, I can't say more than that, but I will give you a hint. You know how in detective mysteries, the end of the story, the detective figures it all out and he has a denouement moment? Well, the denouement in Hellraiser 5 is not told by the detective. It's told by Pinhead, who explains all the weird, hard-to-explain things in the movie, and I love it. I had to sit there after watching this movie and ponder what it all meant before I realized how incredibly profound it really was. Now, that will not be the case for everybody. For generic fans of the first 3 or 4 Hellraiser films, the atmosphere of this one feels entirely different than those, and that is undoubtedly going to be a problem for a lot of those people. Pinhead and the Cenobytes? Barely in the movie. It's primarily a procedural cop drama or mystery above all else. That's also gonna be an issue. And as such, you can tell the script was initially meant for something other than Hellraiser. Also, the acting from the main cop, not that great. Really melodramatic, over the top, and filled with ADR work that doesn't seem natural. However, these negatives are really nothing at the end of the day in comparison to how profound the film is. I've never seen Pinhead better. Even though he's barely in it, he's finally a character that you love because his methods behind what he's actually doing makes so much sense. And I honestly wish I could tell you how layered the film is in its web of secrets and mysteries, but I can't. Go see it for yourself to see what I'm talking about. The visuals of the film are also fantastic, and instead of focusing so much on practical effects for the gore, though that is in there as well, this movie was much more of a labyrinth in its production and set design. Some costume design was also great as well, as we get a look at a few more Cenobites that are terrifying to look at. I'm actually reminded of some creatures in Silent Hill with the monsters in this movie. When the film gets trippy, I especially love it. Let's go ahead and break down my final score. From a technical, unbiased perspective, as I said, it's profound, which goes into how deep the writing's importance was. The visuals were also very good, whether you're talking about production and set design, costume and makeup, and even some practical effects and CGI. All of it's pretty decent, especially for a straight-to-video release in 2000. The only thing that I can think hurt the film overall was some of the acting from our lead here, which was just too melodramatic and over the top. So this unbiased score is 80%. My biased score, just how I felt about it overall, is quite a bit higher because honestly, this film really surprised me. I couldn't stop thinking about its meaning after I saw it. I expected just another plain old horror film, and 5 movies in, you're really not expecting much. But this was instantly one of my favorites, if not favorite, Hellraiser film. This score is 94%. Averaging out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 87%, 87 out of 100 possible stars, or an A- letter grade. You know, if you just look at my bias score alone, this month, this is my third most enjoyable film of the Interpreting the Scares event so far. I mean, it's right under the first Exorcist film, which, by the way, had the same bias score. It just had a higher unbiased score, which is why overall it's above this movie. But guys, this film is well worth the watch. What about you though? Have you seen Hellraiser Inferno? If you have, let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit that like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out!
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert, he is the #1 critic that I go to when I need